Battle Rage, Unstable Go Whirlwind. This is Grim Patron Warrior.
I think it is.
I called it.
Yeah, and I mean, Chakki, you said it. Chakki's the player that would bring it out. If any player is going to bring it out in the tournament, it is him. Now, I was saying this deck is hard to play. It's the combos aren't necessarily hard to understand. The hard part is knowing when, when to play certain cards, like knowing when to hold on to certain pieces of your combo, like the Frothing Berserkers, or knowing when to throw them down on the board for pressure or to like absorb damage so you don't die. And it's really tough also to decide when to actually play your Grim Patrons. Like, should you play your Grim Patrons right now that you have Despite Whirlwind, but you don't have Warsong Commander to give him charge? Or should you wait till you actually can spawn a couple more or put on more pressure with them? Really interesting sort of interactions between. And yeah, all these cards are cards that you'd find exactly card for card in that Grim Patron Warrior. Dr. Boom usually runs double Sludge Belcher. Sometimes only runs one Raging Worgen. Sometimes runs two, but a lot of times that second Raging Worgen is subbed out for Emperor Thorson. I know the deck hasn't been around for that long, but those are usually common substitutions.
Yeah, so we could well see a very, very early Dr. Boom here. We saw the Wild Growth coming in. The Innervate is going to come out very soon as well. And that'd be a pretty good way to respond, but I guess those bombs could be pretty nasty against Grim Patron. They could actually do Chakki a lot of favors.
One thing that Grim Patron Warriors do not run is Big Game Hunter. It's very common for most of the Grim Patron Warrior decks that I've seen to not run Big Game Hunter. So a turn 5 Dr. Boom actually could be very problematic. And I'm not sure what he's going to decide to develop here. He might just... Oh, wow. Just going to armor up. So yeah, if Dr. Boom does come out this turn, he's going to have to like throw a weapon charge into it and execute it. It's going to be really rough. And there it comes. Yep. Doctor 4. Since he Wild Growth, so that's turn 4. Wild Growth into Pass into Innervate and Dr. Boom. He does have Cruel Taskmaster, so he gets the Execute Enabler.
Yeah, but that's pretty important, though. That Cruel Taskmaster could be really useful later on.
Yeah, Cruel Taskmaster is also a card that can be used to help combo with Grim Patron later on. You can get an extra Grim Patron, it'll have charge plus 5 attack, summon an extra one, but you have to do this. You can't leave the Dr. Boom up for an extra turn, because that's damage that you can't afford to take. Unlike Control Warrior, there's not as much life gain in Grim Patron Warrior, so a lot of decks that pressure, Grim Patron Warrior struggles with. Unless their pressure comes from small drops like Paladin, where you can get huge Grim Patron combos later on in the game.
Yeah, so the Thorson coming down is going to give some pretty cheap Druid of the Claws and Sludge Belchers here, and that's some pretty nice value. It's not necessarily what he'd want as the targets for it, but there's the Whirlwind. So looking at the Warsong Commander and the Raging Worgen, we could see some things start to come in the next couple of turns. No Grim Patron so far. Still waiting on that making an appearance, and that is the problem with some of these decks, like the Hobgoblin decks as well. They're very, very weak decks unless you can draw specific cards, and that is what makes them weak. Yeah,
that's very true. And he does have a couple pieces of the combo right now. The main goal of Grim Patron Warrior is just to buy time until you draw into some piece of your combo. There's actually a couple different combos that you can use to win the game. One being Warsong Commander with big Frothing Berserkers, which is sort of, or Raging Worgen as well, which is sort of like the old classic way for those aggro combo warriors, Math Warrior, whatever, to win. Grim Patron Warrior kind of makes it more consistent, makes the one-turn kill or makes the combo warriors a little bit more consistent, because you add one extra combo in there that you can use to put a lot of pressure and win games.
So he's looking at the Druid of the Claw here. He's just going to match the taunt, which I guess is pretty good. It's a slightly more powered taunt than the initial body of the Sludge Belcher. Thought he might have gone for a charge version to get through the Belcher, but that would have been pretty wasteful. So he's just going to go with the taunt form. And Chakki doesn't really have a lot of great plays here.
He can develop the Despite, which is pretty good, because next turn he'll be able to get a pretty decent battle rage play if he's able to get another damage minion on the board. Also, he has a good turn 7 play in playing Dr. Boom. But battle rage right now, probably smarter just so he can get the.
Well, there is the Grim Patron.
Ooh. He's got Grim Patron, Whirlwind, and Warsong Commander, and Despite Charge. So next turn he can hold on to Despite, play Dr. Boom, and then the following turn he can make for some huge plays with Grim Patron, with Warsong Commander and Grim Patron. But he can't. 9 mana is sort of that sweet spot because you can play the Whirlwind as well.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get these combos because it is a 5 mana card. It's really difficult to get that. But yeah, as you say, the Warsong Commander Grim Patron Whirlwind combo is pretty good. He does have that Raging Worgen as well for maybe a turn 7 combo.
You don't want to play your combo pieces too early, because if you use your first Warsong Commander and it gets killed, and your other Warsong Commander is in the bottom of your deck, a lot of times you don't have the damage to be able to close out the game. Oh. Okay, so a Dr. Boom this turn is most likely the play. And then next turn he can make some huge plays with Grim Patron. This turn, it's a little bit too premature, just because he can't play the Warsong Commander. If this was turn 8, he'd be able to play Warsong Commander, clear off the Sludge Belcher, which would spawn another Grim Patron, throw his fresh Grim Patron into the slime, which would give him another one, enrage the other one, which would give him another one, and allow him to clear into the Druid Claw. But he's 1 man off from being able to do all that, so I like just playing Dr. Boom here.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe even... No, yeah, Dr. Boom turn 7. I was going to say he might be able to make some plays with Acolyte of Pain, but he really does not want to give up that charge of Despite, because next turn is going to be that turn where he starts to develop all those Grim Patrons. He's going to bring everybody in here.
Is it Grim Patrons? Is that the plural? Grim Patroni?
I don't know.
I think it's patrons. I guess it's patrons.
Patrons, yeah. Patrons.
Grim Patron.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah,
Grim
it's definitely
Patron. Who's it that keeps saying Grim Patron? I can't remember.
I don't know, but it's definitely Grim Patrons.
Oh, that Black Knight getting super value there on that 1/2 slime. I guess in a deck like this, it's hard to get any value at all from the Black Knight, so we'll take it where you can get it. The Warrior very low in health at this point.
Oh, the second Inner Rage. Okay, so this is a lot of damage right now. It's really hard to calculate. He doesn't have lethal because he can't play the Whirlwind. If he could play the Whirlwind, there might actually be a chance for him to lethal, but actually, hold on. I don't think it is. Don't think it is. But he's gonna be able to clear the slime here. Throw 1 Grim Patron. I would throw 1 Grim Patron in now, so that way he has room for all the fresh Grim Patrons that he's going to be able to spawn.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's a good play there. And now he'll be able to spawn another one from the slime. He's going to want to put that 7 damage onto. Yep.
Wow, this is pretty crazy. This combo deck may actually work out.
Yeah.
For Chakki. And it doesn't get the kill there.
I think he was just making room. He wants as many Grim Patrons as he can possibly spawn.
Alright, so he's going to get 6 here. So he's going to have 5 Grim Patrons on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 of them are going to be able to attack right now. They can actually... Yeah, he can spawn, he can refresh one. No, because he doesn't get that one there, so he trades away. And actually, suddenly, this is looking pretty scary. The swipe?
It doesn't do anything, because you can't swipe this board, because
from
whatever you're going to clear with the swipe, he's going to summon 2 more Grim Patrons. So you're not going to take away... Actually, so he'll be taking away 12 power and adding 6 power. So he'll actually be taking away a little bit of power off the board, and he'll be able to take out the Warsong Commander, but it's still... You're still almost dead.
I think if you kill the boom, if you kill the Warsong Commander and then swipe the boom, if you kill the Warsong Commander with the Keeper and then swipe the boom, you end up with 12 damage on the board, so you kind of stay alive. I'm not sure what. I don't think there's another play. Like, I think that's the only play.
Yeah.
You have to kill the Warsong Commander. You have to take the 7 damage off the board. You can take 2 of the Grim Patron damage off the board.
I think he can afford to silence one of the Grim Patrons, swipe the Dr. Boom, and hero power into the Warsong Commander, because then he'd be left with 9 power on board. And,
Okay, yeah.
And he'd still be at... Okay. And then he can keep... This way he can keep her the Dr. Boom. I think this takes the most power off. Yeah, he's left with...
okay.
Yeah, he's good. This way he's going to be left with 6 power. So.
Yeah. It feels a bit like Countdown. Don't know if you've ever seen Countdown. It's a show with letters and numbers. You have to get as close as possible to the math number with the numbers you're given. I was quite far off. You got a little bit closer, but Ecta got closest of all. There, we'll take 6 damage.
He's still going to be a little bit afraid, because he's still within combo range, even if he armors up here. But Ecta only has 1 card in his hand. So he'd have to have 1 piece of the combo and then draw into the second piece of the combo to have any chance of winning. Because here, he can actually throw a Grim Patron into the Keeper of the Grove, spawn a fresh one, then Whirlwind, clearing off the Keeper, and spawning 2 more Grim Patrons.
And if you throw down Frothing... Yeah, Berserker, that's...
And Acolyte of Pain, you can draw a card and have a huge Frothing Berserker on the board all at the same time.
He's not going to go for the Frothing here.
Okay, Sludge Belcher.
Oh, Sludge Belcher, perfect pickup.
Yeah. He wanted to draw a card with as much mana remaining as possible. So if he did draw into something that changed his play, it'd be better. So that's the strongest play there. And that's going to be game. There's... he can innovate out of Shade, but it's not going to do anything. So, Grim Patron Warrior in its debut for Chakki is going to take game 1. That's pretty cool to see.
Well, sadly, that means we're only going to get to see one game of this. Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll see Grim Patron Warrior from Ecta. He did say Gromash was his favorite card, so I'm assuming we'll see Control Warrior.
Well, but Gromash is running Grim Patron Warrior, so there is a possibility.
That is true. We may well see it, but we'll have to wait and find out. But he does still have the Druid up for Ecta, and Chakki with that Mage and Priest. Now, if he's running Freeze Mage, this is a pretty tough lineup for him, potentially.
Mm-hmm. I think it actually probably is Freeze Mage, because when Chakki runs Mage, it's usually Freeze Mage. I don't know if I've seen him play
Mech Mage or anything.
Mech Mage in a tournament environment. I have seen him play Fatigue Mage before, but that's not really a viable option here. Oh, okay, so Ecta switched to Rogue, and Chakki went with Mage. So if this is Freeze Mage, and Chakki can find a win here, then that'll be really good for him.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see what variation of Mage this is, as you say. And, I mean, who knows what Ecta's bringing? This could be a completely different Rogue as well. So we'll see in just a second here when we get into it.
Yeah.
What these guys are going to go for.
He wants to pick up a victory with the Mage before he has to face off against the Warrior, which is actually a pretty big deal. He wants to dodge the Warrior at all costs, because if he gets to a point where the only deck he has left to win with is Mage, and he still has to go through Warrior...
that's really difficult for him.
Really difficult, so...
Alright, well, let's get into this match here.
It's Freeze Mage.
We'll bring the mulligans. As we can see the Freeze Mage against the Rogue.
Yeah, okay, now we can see it. Okay, there we go. Yeah. It's Freeze Mage.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell from what's in the mulligan there, it's Freeze Mage.
Yeah.
And it looks like a fairly standard Rogue from Ecta from what we can see there.
Mm-hmm. There's not really any different variations of Rogue that you can make right now. Oil Rogue is... You can substitute some cards in. You can run 1 oil. You can run any variation of 2 Earthen Ring Farseers, 1 Earthen Ring Farseer, an Earthen Ring Farseer, and an Antique Heal Bot. You can run 1 sprint with a Dr. Boom. You can run 2 sprints. You can run 2 sprints with a Dr. Boom. There's not many variations you can make for it. But Emperor Thorsan, these 2 decks are a prime example of cards that Emperor Thorsan had a really big effect on. Classes that usually have a lot of cards in their hand that rely on big combos, like Freeze Mage, Oil Rogue, mid-range Fast Druid, decks like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We see the Thorison there for Ecta, which is we've seen do a lot of work for Rogue. It can really, really create huge turns. Explosive Sheep, that's a card I'm never really sure about in Freeze Mage. I feel like it is definitely a tech card, obviously. Things like Cone of Cold come into that same slot. I'm never convinced of Explosive Sheep. I'm not sure how many matchups you actually get to use it in.
Mm-hmm. Zoo is a good one, but even sometimes against Zoo can be kind of weak. It's pretty strong
against him Gang
Mage.
Boss.
Yeah, it's pretty weak against him Gang Boss. Yeah.
And those decks, those aggressive decks, unless they overextend, which you would hope people wouldn't really do at this level.
Yeah.
They can just refill the board. So I'm never entirely convinced, but it does definitely have some values a lot of the time. So it's one of those tech cards, those swing cards in the Freeze Mage deck that is really just a question of taste, I guess.
Right now he's thinking about whether or not he can afford to delay his Arcane Intellect and get greedy and draw out of his Acolyte of Pain before it gets traded into, but playing Arcane Intellect on turn is actually really important, so he's still going to get a draw from the Acolyte. Not the worst thing in the world, but most likely will get traded into here. The Rogue in this matchup really wants to pressure. They want to make a huge turn. They want to force the Mage to play defensively as soon as they possibly can. So it's not... it's a pretty normal thing for rogues to just start piling on the damage early on, throwing spells at the face, throwing dagger and oil on really early, just to apply as much pressure as possible to make that mage play defensively. So that's one of the ways that rogue can win this matchup. Yeah,
and these minions are not too much of a problem here for the Freeze Mage, but they're certainly a little bit annoying, as you say. Ecta looking to put the pressure on. It's not... I guess the Explosive Sheep, this could be a turn for it here. You could hero power it, but it doesn't feel entirely useful. But that's what he's going to go for, just to clear out this board.
Yeah. That's about the best use you're going to possibly find for that card in this matchup.
Yeah. And there's a Loatheb. We're going to see when Ecta decides to play that. That's such a crucial card in this matchup.
Yeah, you have to play it now just for the tempo, just for the damage. Start applying pressure. Usually in most matchups, that's a card that you save for like post Alexstrasza. But once you get to the phase where you're getting Alexstrasza as a rogue, you've most likely already lost the game. So a lot of times you don't have a chance to even play Loatheb later on.
That is true. It's fair enough. We're going to see the Doomsayer. We could well see a sap on the Doomsayer, I think. I think that's a pretty strong play.
Or he might just deal with it. He can Emperor Thorsan and then backstab through the Loatheb in. Because if he throws back the Doomsayer, then he knows he has to deal with it eventually. When his creatures are frozen and he doesn't have any other way to deal with it, I think that's when the sap should come out.
Yeah. With the backstab in hand as well. Backstab, not a card you're going to get a huge amount of use of in this matchup.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. Backstab, yeah, that's what we're going to see here. And he's going to deal with this Doomsayer, and he's got 2 5/5 bodies on the board.
That could be pretty threatening, especially if he had an oil in hand. Which he doesn't, but does have Prep Sprint. And it's a
0 mana Deadly
sprint.
Poison.
The ultimate combo card.
Pretty nasty. Do you know, I read a very interesting thread on Reddit the other week, because the thing you occasionally do learn things about the way Hearthstone works, and learning that cards do actually get negative mana costs.
Yeah.
Did not know that. I'd never experienced that before.
Yeah.
So the Deadly Poison, in fact, that prep now costs -1.
Yeah.
And if a Loatheb were to come down, it would go up to 4 mana rather than 5.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Even though it only displays as 0. It's kind of one of those weird little quirks that you don't really know about.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty good pickup from the SI7 there. It's going to be able to clear out this Mad Scientist, though he may just opt to develop even the Violet Teacher and use the Deadly Poison to clear this. It definitely has a lot of options.
Yeah, I like the Violet Teacher play the best. Powder Cheddar, it's the stickiest, so if your board does get clear the next turn, you're still going to have a creature available to maybe combo oil with if you draw into it, but this puts like the most the most amount of power and threat on the board right now, with the state of the board right now. I still got a lot of health to chunk through, and Chakki's got a lot of ways to buy time with both blizzards already, and ice barrier. So, and flame
Those
strike.
blizzards. Those blizzards. We could just see a blizzard here. I wouldn't put it past him. Even, I know you want to save the ice lances, but could perhaps even see blizzard ice lance here to clear probably the teacher to stop any of those crazy big turns.
Yeah.
Is an option, or you can just stall it out with the blizzard. Buy himself some time.
Chakki playing the freeze mag.
Yes, the freeze mag. Didn't know there was a new class added to Hearthstone. There it is. It's actually just it's a class that Hyped designed. It's short for Magazzini.
George Hyped Magazzini.
That was a joke just for you, TJ.
Thank you.
So
I
you'd
appreciate it. I really do. All right, well, he's taking the time earlier on to develop, but Chakki has a lot of ways to stall, but he doesn't really have any ways to sort of apply pressure. He hasn't drawn to Alexstrasza yet, hasn't drawn to Archmage Antonidas. He does have Sunburn in his hand with Frostbolt, Ice Lance, but he doesn't have any heavier hitting spells like Fireball, like Pyroblast. So he's really going to have to stall for a while with these AoE spells in order to hopefully buy himself some time to draw into these bigger threats.
Well, he's going to prep Eviscerate Face just to get a giant Edwin Van Cleef. Well, that's an 8/8 Edwin Van Cleef. It's a full board with a lot of damage here.
Too bad it'll be frozen for the next infinity turns.
Yeah.
Double Blizzard Flame Strike is the ultimate counter to the 8/8 Van Cleef.
Yeah, that feels pretty strong, not gonna lie. It's pretty strong.
There we go. Card draw is exactly what he needed at this point, but he needs to Blizzard first, and then next turn, Blizzard again to buy himself time to Arcane Intellect, because he can't really afford to use Arcane Intellect this turn, because he has, 16, 20, at least 21 damage staring at him next turn. If he doesn't Blizzard here, yeah. I don't think he even has to. He can just ping face if he really wants to. Ping face is an obvious giveaway that he does have more AoE.
Yeah, you can actually ping the Edwin and then ping Flame Strike next turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That's definitely the optimal play.
Yeah. And this isn't a huge dead giveaway either that he doesn't have extra AoE. Pinging the highest health creature is usually the standard freeze mage tactic.
Yeah. Be good if we could see Ecta's reaction to this here. It's so frustrating to play against Freeze Mage sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. You feel like you're not really playing against your opponent. The opponent is playing against their own deck.
Your opponent's playing solitaire.
Exactly. Yeah, your opponent's
playing. You're trying to play along, but it's not working.
It's like you're trying to play against them without them knowing. Like, oh, okay.
Just gonna SI7 face here, just try and push this damage in. No ice blocks up yet.
He does have Anti-Keelbot, and he does have Sprint to refill his hand. So he has answers to just about anything that Chakki can do. Emperor Thorsen, but if he uses it, it's just going to get killed the following turn. But at the same time, he could get... It's still pretty decent value. 2-mana Arcane Intellect. Being able to use Frostbolt, Ice Lance for 1 mana is pretty strong play.
That's pretty strong. What's that? That's 11 damage for 1 mana. Mm-hmm. That's a 1 mana Pyroblast ping.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. But at the same time, if he just plays Emperor here, he would have to most likely Frostbolt something just in order to safely protect his block. So I think that Arcane Intellect might be the better play here, and then using Blizzard as sort of an emergency tool. You could also Blizzard and then play Mad Scientist and ping something off. Which...
Ping FS7.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and using one of the Ice Lances.
Yeah, using the Ice Lance is interesting. It's
He's used both Ice Barriers though, so that's actually really smart. Because Mad Scientist could be a flex card later on in order to draw the last ice block out of his deck as sort of an emergency tool. So right now, if he plays the Mad Scientist with an ice block already up, his Mad Scientist isn't going to pull anything out. So there's not really a point in playing it.
Earthen Ring's a pretty good pickup. Bring him back up to 30 health.
Yeah.
And it's not a big enough threat to really mandate any of the things that Chakki has to deal with in his hand, but this does give him the space to play Arcane Intellect, and indeed to play Thaurissan.
Yeah, he's been pretty deep in his deck, and he still hasn't drawn into...
He's going to Frostbolt. That's...
Yeah. I like this better. This protects his Thaurissan a little bit more. The Arcane Intellect isn't going anywhere. He's still going to draw those be able to draw those 2 cards. Now he's just going to be able to do it for less mana. So, this is the best way to protect not only his damage from his ice block, but also protect his Emperor Thaurissan. Essentially give it taunt.
See, what do you think about the Violet Teacher into Fan Eviscerate? Cycle that Fan. It's not going to get a huge amount of value.
Yeah.
And build up a Violet Teacher. Yeah, so that's what he's going to do. He's going to draw a card off the Fan of Knives. Deadly Poison. 2 flurries in hand as well.
He needs time to be able to build up those daggers and use those flurries, though. Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't eviscerate here. And I would even go ahead and go so far as to... Well, I don't know. I don't know if he wants to equip the Deadly Poison. The Deadly Poison could be an activator for Tinker Sharp Soda Oil the following turn.
Yeah, I think so.
So holding on to that might be the better choice. Because he's not guaranteed a target to be able to sap, which would be the other activator that he would use.
If the sap could be pretty crucial here, like you said, the Mad Scientist could be used to pull that final block from the deck, and if Ecta's able to put in a big Blade Flurry here to maybe finish Chakki off, actually being able to sap the Mad Scientist to avoid that block coming up could be pretty crucial in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that ends up being a big heads-up play, but there we go. We have Alexstrasza and Pyroblast finally coming into hand for Chakki.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, just a turn too late on the Alexstrasza to be able to play it this turn.
Oh, man. So there's really not much damage facing the board for him to Frost Nova, but he sort of has to. Just because he can't afford to have his block pop this turn. The worst time to have your block popped is right before the turn that you would normally Alexstrasza, because that gives you almost no chance to win. So Frost Novaing now, even though there's not too much power facing on the board, is the better play. Next turn he can Alexstrasza. The following turn opens up opportunities for him to draw into that last bit of burn that he'll need.
He's almost out of cards here, Ecta.
So Chakki should know exactly what he has.
Pretty much. He knows he's not seen any flurry. He knows he hasn't seen either Tinker's Oil, if there is 2. So he's just going to flurry here, I think, just to build up an extra apprentice on the board and to be able to clear a new dagger.
And 2 damage, yeah. Just trying to put out as much damage as possible.
Oh, Flame Strike off the top.
Yeah. I think you need to... Oh, man. Yeah, you have to do that. You have to get to a point where you can play the Alexstrasza and buy as much time as you can to draw into damage. Because right now, if he plays Alexstrasza, there's no guarantee that he'll win next turn. Because he'd have to be able to play Pyroblast and his other burn spells 2 turns in a row. Does he have enough damage to pop it here? I don't think so, no.
How much damage does he even have?
He has 2... He has 12 damage?
And the only minion left as a target for Tinkers is the Antique Healbot.
Yeah, I think
he's out. I think he's out of steam here.
That Flame Strike off the top might have just won Chakki this game because...
Yep. There's nothing left.
Yeah, if he develops this Antique Healbot right now to try and get something to combo with Oil, he won't have that Antique Healbot for after the Alexstrasza. So he sort of has to go all in. Ooh, and he's... this could be the only play for him to make.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because this turn he's going to play Alexstrasza. The next turn the block will be popped. But then he should have drawn to enough burn by that point. Or be able to... Because this play... Oh, man. Yeah.
He's sitting at 30 health, but he could well be dead here, to be honest. This is really one of the... This is Freeze Mage right here. This is a perfect illustration of another Freeze Mage scenario, which is you just the mage just outlasts you.
Yeah.
I've actually one of the players was a really big advocate of Freeze Mage's Firebat. I've spoken to him about this deck a lot. Is that just there's so many different ways to win, and just fatiguing your opponent out is one of those ways. And the Fireball and the Antique Healbot, I think Chakki realizes that that's the last minion.
Yeah.
Yep, Ecta's going to go ahead and concede. Such a good heads-up play from Chakki there to be, as you said, counting the cards, knowing what's left, and just being, I'm pretty sure if I Fireball this, I don't need that Fireball anymore.
Yeah, he's thinking, okay, he's got 4 cards in his hand, no cards in his deck, so he knows that one of them's a Blade Flurry. Most likely 2 of them are saps, and if he was paying attention, he could assume that the last one was backstab. So, really great heads-up play, not even needing to Alex in that situation, just because there's no cards left. The rogue doesn't have any damage left. Even if he Blade Flurried, he'd have to auto-attack with his dagger twice in a row, just to be able to get through, and just goes ahead and concedes out. So Chakki's 1 win away.
Yep. With that, and that Priest is the deck that's left, and I guess if you're Chakki, doesn't necessarily feel too confident with this Priest. He was saying on Twitter that he said, watch me come play Priest in a tournament for the first time and probably lose. This is the position you want to be in. He has 3 chances to get a win with this, and you'd think a player of Chakki's caliber would be able to get 1 win out of 3. We will see. It's going to be the Rogue of Ecta again. It's a very strong deck. But we'll see what this Priest build is from Chakki. You were saying you'd seen a little glimpse of this Priest deck on stream?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was playing, I think he called it Mind Control Priest, where he was just playing like double Shrink Meister, double Cabal Shadow Priest, double Shadow Madness. Pretty much every tool that you could use to take your opponent's creatures, he was playing. So we'll have to see if it works out for him. Oh, and Chakki. Oh, well, I guess you can't really see that yet.
We'll get into it and we'll see what the game is going to be like.
Second.
It's going to be game number 3 of Chakki versus Ecta, Priest versus Rogue. Okay. Here we are. We can see pretty good start for Chakki with the Injured Blade Master and the Power Word Shield. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and keep those.
Ecta, just so stoic. This entire time he's been playing, he has not
hasn't moved.
Hasn't moved an inch.
Looks like he's outside as well, which is an interesting tactic.
Yeah. You can play Hearthstone on your phones now. You can play Hearthstone from anywhere.
This is absolutely true.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any people playing from the toilet yet.
I did say when the mobile came out, I said, how long will it be before some tournament gets sponsored by like HTC or something, and all the players have to play on HTC phones?
Well, there's some Hearthstone teams that are sponsored by it, so I guess that's as close as you can possibly be. Yeah, this is a pretty good start. Circle of Healing would be like the ultimate start. But this is pretty good as well. Being able to have something to place on the board early, being able to have that Northshire Cleric out there early, or better yet, both Northshire Clerics out there early.
Yeah, I mean, you do say never go full Northshire, but at this point it feels like it's not too bad. I mean, what can Chakki do here? What can Ecta do here? Does he sap the 1/5? Is that a thing? No, he's just gonna have to dagger up and pass.
Yeah.
And Thought Steal. That's not a bad turn 3 when your opponent's played absolutely nothing to this point.
That's a reasonable Thought Steal. Eviscerate's good because it can help you deal with your opponent's Azure Drake, which in all of the cases would be really tough for Priest to deal with. This matchup still, though, is very, very much in favor of the Rogue. Even if they don't get an explosive start, even if the Priest does have a good start like this, unless you're applying large amounts of pressure early on, which 2 Northshire Clerics aren't going to do, then the Rogue's just in a great spot. They want to be able to just buy a lot of time. They want you to play really slow so they can draw into their big combo pieces. And they want to get to that point where they can just play Azure Drake and Pilot Shredder on curve and have it not be able to be dealt with.
Well, there is the Injured Blade Master. He's going to be able to play that with the Circle. So the Circle of Healing comes out. He's going to be able to play Blade Master Circle, draw a card. I think when you're Thought Stealing against a Rogue, to be honest, any Thought Steal that brings you 2 usable cards, I would say is really good.
That's true, yeah.
Rogue is one of the weakest classes to play Thought Steal against because there are so many things. I mean, Blade Flurry, Deadly Poison, and Tinkers. That's 6 cards in the deck that are completely dead if you Thought Steal them.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Really good point.
So if you can, the fact that he drew a Shredder, which is really good value, and Eviscerate, which is good damage, is that's pretty good. And it's always nice to be able to get minions off Thought Steal that are good, and that you can then play and your opponent doesn't know have come from Thought Steal.
Yeah.
So they haven't yet added the unstable portal kind of graphic where you can see this came from unstable portal, this came from Thought Steal.
The Violet Teacher Prep Sap, one of the strongest turn 4 plays that you can make, one of the strongest tempo gaining turn 4 plays that you can make as a rogue. And it's
that's both the Northshire's done.
Oh yeah. This is pretty solid stuff here from Ecta.
Yeah, this is really hard for Chakki. I mean, I guess you Sludge Belcher, but you think the Sludge Belcher probably dies.
Yeah, you're just throwing it out there to try and stall. I mean, he does have a way to... the only thing I can see him doing is trying to clear off something with Eviscerate here, and then maybe Circle of Healing the injured Blade Master, since he knows that sap is gone now. At least one of the saps is gone now. So yeah, this play I think is a little bit better, because you're being proactive. You're clearing off a threat, you're also building up a strong board, instead of just putting a Sludge Belcher out there to try and buy some time. So
yeah, it's not bad. I do like developing the injured Blade Master, because it's just so difficult for really any class to deal with. It's in that sweet spot where it's just the stats are distributed so well if you can heal it. There's a 15 mana mind control there. That's probably the highest mana cost I've ever seen, apart from, I guess, Molten Giants when they first come out.
Yeah, this is a super vulnerable play. He's forced to play the Sylvanas here just to try and salvage what he has on the board, and he actually clears one of the 1/1s off just to make it more likely for him to steal something better, of better use with Sylvanas.
Yep, Fan of Knives, gonna take care of the rest of this Blade Master. Spawn another 1/1, and is he gonna eviscerate the Sylvanas?
He's gonna try and it's gonna be a 60% chance that he'll steal a 1/1. So, and even if he doesn't, well, yeah, it's most likely that he's gonna steal it. If he steals Violet Teacher, that's really good actually. Oh,
oh, there's the 1/1.
He's still gonna lose his Loatheb, but I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. Because you're constantly getting value out of Violet Teacher. Really hard for priests to be able to remove effectively without using like Shadow Word Pain or like Shadow Madness into Loatheb, which he does not have that, as we can see.
Yeah, this is it's a pretty tough spot for the priest. He's going to go ahead and make that trade. Sludge Belcher are going to come down now, and the rogue very much biding its time. Has some good minions like Azure Drake and Pilot and Shredder to come. The Violet Teacher's still in play, and actually the Fan's pretty good here. But we're going to see the Eviscerate to clear this Sludge Belcher. And again, just building up these 1/1s, which are going to be really good to clear this slime. So, yeah, just a really methodical approach from the rogue here. It's, as you say, not the explosive start. Didn't draw what it needed to win, to be really explosive and get a blowout performance. But just this really slow, methodical play is going to really pay dividends for the rogue.
This is pretty much a textbook game of why rogue is just super strong. Again, like you said, he didn't have the most explosive start. He didn't have the best hand in the world, but it's just so hard for priests to do much because this is exactly what kind of style a rogue wants to play. They want to get huge value out of creatures like Violet Teacher. They want to be able to sort of like put you on a clock and force you to play defensively the whole game. Oh man, yep. This is... And he's going to be able to clear it off with the Deadly Poison as well, if he so chooses. Spawn another 1/1. That Violet Teacher itself, just the 1/1s from that Violet Teacher have just caused so many issues.
Yeah, I mean, not being able to kill that Violet Teacher. I don't even know what he does to kill this Violet Teacher at this point. Doesn't appear to run Shadow Word Pain.
Eventually you're just going to mind control it. Just get it out of the way.
Just fine, come over here. Stay out of my way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to survive that long, to be honest, with the Deadly Poison and the Tinker's Oil.
No, I think he's dead next turn regardless of what he does. Even if he steals one of the 1/1s and heals up, he'll be at 15. The Tinker, Sharp Sword Oil, Deadly Poison, As long as the Sharp Sword Oil doesn't go onto one of the 1/1s, then he's okay. Well,
That's not bad.
Those are pretty good cards, but it's a little bit too late for that.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, he's just going to play the Thorson. I think he realizes he's probably dead.
Yeah. And he
Hey,
didn't
9 mana mind control.
Yeah.
It's back.
He didn't heal up, so that's lethal no matter where the Tinker Sharp Sword Oil goes. You only need the Tinker Sharp Sword Oil on the weapon for that to be lethal, I do believe. And it does go on to 4/4. But again, doesn't matter. So Ecta starting his comeback. And again, that's a pretty good matchup for him. Chakki said, hey, come watch so you can see me play Priest in a tournament for the first time and lose. And we'll have to see if he's going to be able to pick up a win with that. He's got 2 more chances.
He does. He's the Druid and the Warrior left. And which of these 2 decks do you think is most likely for Chakki to get a win with the Priest on?
It's hard to say. Maybe Warrior, depending on how that Warrior deck is built and depending how many threats Chakki is actually running. If Chakki is going with the less big threat Priest and the more like reactive mind controlling cards like double Shadow Madness, double Cabal, he might have some trouble because he won't be able to match threat for threat with the Warrior. But we'll see.
Well, while we're waiting for this potentially final game of the series, Game 4 of the best of 5, to get set up, let me remind you a couple of things that are going on. Obviously, you can donate to Child's Play through this tournament. All 100% of your donations will go to charity. There's a link in the Twitch description below. You can also go to the website kingwin.net and find out about that as well. There's also a giveaway going on for 20 Hearthstone packs. That's also on the website, and there's a command in the chat. And remember to watch the KPL on Tuesdays and Wednesdays as well. Bring you the biggest league in Hearthstone. So much going on here at Kingwin, one of the most active Hearthstone tournament organizers of anywhere at the moment, putting on, I think it's 3 days this week of Hearthstone, 5 days this week of Hearthstone tournament action. It's basically you get a weekend off from Hearthstone from Kingwin this week, and every other day, 5 days a week Hearthstone.
For that pack command, you can type !packs, and of course make sure you spam it because everybody knows that spamming a command increases your chances.
That is true.
Of getting those packs. So !packs will bring you to that link for the 20 pack giveaway.
And remember, we're going to be back here tomorrow for the second half of the round of 8. And then we're going to be taking on the second half of the round of 16, and then the quarterfinals are going to be coming tomorrow. We are starting tomorrow, and I believe 1:30 Central European time.
Yeah, it's going to be like 10 hours of games tomorrow. It's going to be like some really great stuff tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to have 8 best of 5s coming out tomorrow from some of the best players in the world. So
easy.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And we already know we're going to have Jab versus Dog. And the winner of this game is going to take on Hyped in our round of 8. But we also have Tides of Time versus D2 as our first game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that one very much. Muzzy versus Gara, Tice versus Show, and Forsen versus Oliak. But we're going to see Chakki on his Priest here against the Warrior of Ecta. And we're going to get into that game as soon as we can and bring that to you. And it's going to be very interesting to see if Chakki can get a win with this Priest. So we see the Acolyte of Pain. We also saw the Sylvanas. Suggest this is probably a more traditional warrior from Ecta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not the Grim Patron warrior.
Sadly.
This is usually a pretty slow matchup, but it also can turn into be a pretty big slugfest. Harrison Jones, not really going to help you that much unless he thought steals a weapon, which is the dream if you're a warrior player in this matchup. All spells right off the bat for Chakki. Which I guess isn't that big of a deal against Warrior. You don't need to pressure that much.
So we see double Shadow or Death in the hand for Chakki. That's pretty slow. Oh, double Circle as well. That's really slow.
Yeah, that's rough. That's really rough. At this point, you might want to like coin out a Thought Steal just so you have a turn 3 play to make.
Yeah, that's not that out of the question.
Chakki might want to rethink his whole let me just bring Priest for the hell of it strategy. Because this is one of the things with Conquest is if one of your decks are weak, just one of your decks, then It can cost you a whole tournament.
Oh man, it's so difficult. As we said this with Conquest, like you went 2-0 up with his first two decks, bringing something like Priest. It's really difficult to see how you get a win with it against a lot of different classes, and it can be such a liability that you just lose because you can't get a single win with it.
Mm-hmm.
He did put himself in the absolute best position, leaving it till last, winning 2 first. But it's really hard to see Chakki even coming back from this really slow start. Goes to the Thoughtsteel, gets a BGH. That could be really useful. Oh wait, he already has double Shadow Word Death. Doesn't really need it.
Those are actually not the greatest Thoughtsteals because Cruel Taskmaster is not going to have much use either. Maybe to help him trade up with something later on. But right now, I mean, what is he going to do here? He can throw... Right now, probably his best play is just throw out BGH. Maybe throw a Powered Shield on it to make it a 4/4. Like, that looks like his best play here. Shrinkmeister, not really an option. Or maybe it is.
I guess he thinks he might use the BGH at some point.
What could you possibly use the BGH? Okay, so BGH for Dr. Boom. Shadow Word Death, one Shadow Word Death for Alex Straza, one for Grom, I guess. Maybe
one for Lothab?
Baron Geddon. One, yeah. I guess there's uses for all of them, but I mean, this doesn't even contest with the Armorsmith.
That Mind Control, such a dead draw as well from the Power Word Shield. Like, he has so much garbage in his hand that there comes a point when you have so much garbage in your hand, you think, okay, I have to start drawing good cards now. And he still isn't at that point because he managed to draw Mind Control in turn 4.
Yeah.
And 12 armor already from the Warrior. This is really tough.
Oh!
That's not a bad draw. That's pretty good.
Okay, now that he's seen one Acolyte of Pain. Acolyte of Pain is usually the card that you want to go for. But there's a lot of good Cabal Shadow Priest targets in Warrior. Armorsmith, Cruel Taskmaster, Acolyte of Pain. He's also thinking, well, maybe I want to save that Cabal Shadow Priest later on for a Shrinkmeister, maybe be able to pick up a Sludge Belcher with my second Shrinkmeister and Cabal Shadow Priest, but he really can't afford to do that. This is his only real play.
It's all he has at this point. And I mean, all the options in the world for Ecta. He could run the Armorsmith into the Cabal, execute Sludge Belcher. He could completely ignore it and go for Shield Maiden. He can develop Deathspite. Just, as I say, all the options in the world. So much armor that it doesn't really matter. Barely makes a mark killing that Cabal Shadow Priest. This is rough. And Holy Nova, again, talking about dead draws. That's just
Holy Nova to
garbage.
chip off 2 of the armor. There you go.
Oh, that's like a Dragon's Breath, but worse.
A lot worse.
I guess Thoughtsteel?
Yeah, he has a Thoughtsteel here. And then he'll have to throw out one of his cards because his hand will be full. So probably Thoughtsteel and then maybe throw out the Big Game Hunter. Because Cruel Taskmaster would just... You could chip off more of the armor, but it would just play right into... Yeah, Thoughtsteel.
This is really rough. Well,
it gets a threat, so that's good.
Yeah, but he does actually have Cruel Taskmaster as well.
Yeah.
I was just going to say he doesn't pick up an activator, but he picked one up in his last one. He's just going to throw out the circle.
Okay, yeah. This is probably the best choice, to be honest.
That's fine.
I was thinking Big Game Hunter, but again, Double Shadow Word Death, Big Game Hunter. He will get to use all those.
Yeah, this is... Again, lots of options for Ecta. It does have the Shield Maiden. Has the Lothab. Sludge Belcher. All feel pretty good. Even the Harrison Jones is not too bad here. I guess Harrison Jones could potentially bait out a Shadow Word Death as well. Which little does Ecta know, Chakki's sitting on a pair of those bad boys. So even baiting out one.
The Golden Cruel Taskmaster is an interesting card. Because it looks like he's in like a a sandstorm or a really windy environment. And the way he does it, he just points and yells at someone, and it does damage to them and makes them stronger.
So looking at the Sludge Belcher here, I like the 5-drop because you can armor up and just keep armoring up and keep getting out of range that the priest. I mean, people often compare the warrior and the priest, and obviously the hero powers do similar things. But if a warrior can get up to like 45, 50, the priest can only ever heal to 30, and that's, if it comes down to fatigue, that can make all the difference.
Yeah, that's very true.
Warrior versus priest. I once DDoSed myself in a tournament so I wouldn't have to cast warrior versus priest. So the rumors go.
I remember back in the day, warrior versus priest and warrior versus handlock were probably two of the most common matchups. This is like pre-GVG, a little bit before GVG came out. Like right smack dab in the middle of Nax and GVG, which was just, oh my goodness. Back to back to back. A best of 5 series would last hours.
Yeah.
Just by itself. One best of 5 series.
All right. If Chakki could hurry up and decide what he's going to do, that'd be great.
He can Cruel Taskmaster.
Cruel Task, execute. Sure.
And trade. Yeah. He does have Light of the Naru to create a creature. But it's going to be really tough because he'll never be able to use it on Cruel Taskmaster. Because it'll never be low enough for him to be able to use it and it still be damaged.
Yeah.
And there's going to be threat after threat after threat coming out for... I mean, even if Shield Maiden, then Shield Maiden, and then Alexstrasza comes out, Chakki actually has answers to all 3 of those. Shadow or Death, BGH. Which is ridiculous.
But then there's Harrison and Lotheb and Gromash and Baron and Sylvanas.
He's going to kill it with a Circle of Healing. Oh, man.
Sure.
Okay.
Does Chakki run Alkanize in this deck? I guess he must do.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Light of the Naru without Alkanize is a little bit weird. I mean, of course, yeah, Light of the Naru is great on Injured Blade Master. Someone's a Light Warden and can put on pressure, but...
Yeah.
And he actually still holds on to that Death Bite charge. So he's not really
afraid.
I'm
not sure about that.
He's just waiting for it to get a little more... He's waiting for it to use the Execute, to proc the Execute, because he doesn't have any other way in his hand besides just straight up face tanking something to proc Execute on a big creature, so...
Yeah, this is really tough for Chakki. Again, I go back to questioning the wisdom of this Priest pick. It's such a difficult deck at this point. There are just so many 3-deck lineups where it's really hard to get a win with Priest. And if he just brought something like I mean, I know he's a big fan of the Face Hunter. If he just brought Face Hunter, he probably would have won the series by now.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's still almost impossible to tell how this game's going to end up. Because Priest... They just play so reactively. So, I mean, he does have an answer to a lot of threats that are going to come out here. He'll probably draw into more answers for the threats that are going to come out. So,
there's the death.
Even though the Warriors managed to build up 54 health total.
44.
44. Math, there you go.
Oh, there's the Dr. Boom, so that's another target. So there are now twice as many targets for BGH and Shadow or Death as Chakki has remaining in his hand.
Yikes.
This is pretty rough. So, Dr. Boom, is that a BGH or a Shadow or Death? What do you think?
I think it's a BGH. I think you should use the BGH while you can. Because it's not as flexible. So you want to get it out of the way. But there's merit for both, because you might want to save BGH for something a little more powerful, like Alexstrasza. Because at this point in the game, with how slow paced it's been, you know that pretty much every card's going to be used.
Yeah, pretty much.
This game is most likely going to go to fatigue because both players have the answers, have all the answers.
Oh man, you need to conserve your resources.
And at this point, drawing might not be the best idea. Just because if you know that's going to be a fatigue game, then you might want to just try and preserve your preserve having card advantage, like opposite card advantage. Card advantage in a fatigue war, which means you've drawn through less of your deck. Oh, Ysera. That's actually really risky though, because if he plays Ysera, which is usually a really great card against Priest, it gets mind controlled, then you're in trouble, because a lot of times you don't have a way to deal with that. But he does have Execute, so if he played it here, he'd sort of just be forcing Chakki to have it.
I can't think of any better Shrinkmeister Cabal targets in the entire game than Ysera.
Yeah.
Sadly, Chakki doesn't have those two pieces, but I literally don't think there is a better card that combo works on.
Yeah.
I guess is there a new fort? Well, I guess Malagos, but probably Ysera.
I always liked the old Thought Steal Aldor Peacekeeper against Paladin, and then Aldor Peacekeeper Cabal Shadow Priest Tyrion.
That's true. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But this Ysera coming over to the Priest side, and actually the Priest starting to build up a board here. It's been very slow. Emerald Drake, that could be really useful as well. That's a pretty good pickup.
It's a creature, and right now he's severely lacking strong creatures.
He has the Blade Master as well. You could Blade Master Circle Drake, and that starts to look like a pretty scary board.
For the time being. We still haven't seen Shield Slams.
Brawl.
Haven't seen both Executes. He's still got to get through a lot. He's thinking about what he wants to attack here and the follow play. He doesn't have Grom in his hand. Usually you want to set up kills when you use Alexstrasza in this matchup, because going to fatigue is pretty dangerous. So using Alexstrasza prematurely sometimes isn't the right choice, because by the time you draw into the combo, the Priest might have healed it back up to full health, which negates the effect of Alexstrasza overall. So before you use that card, you want to make sure that you do have some sort of way to combo Grom in your hand. And Nightmare's actually a really great card, because he can almost guarantee lethal if he gets like a Whirlwind effect plus Nightmare after Alexstrasza turn.
Now, Sylvanas Shadowward Death? That's a combo.
Yeah, I don't know if Harrison Jones is a card that you really want to steal, though. I wouldn't be too upset with just using Grom.
That's true. I mean, doesn't look like he has any way to deal with it at this point.
You've seen both Executes.
Yeah.
You'd be able to chip off 3 of the armor. You could also heal Grom back up to what, 7 health? No, it'd be 6 health, because you would take 5.
Grom
circle of healing him, and then he'd be almost impossible to deal with.
Grom into Harrison, Light of the Naru Circle, draws way too many cards.
Yeah, way too many cards. Yeah,
but does create a sick Light Warden.
He might actually sacrifice the Northshire Cleric here. I guess not. Okay, heals his face. Smart choice. It's vulnerable to Shield Slam in this situation. I actually wouldn't have been opposed to sacrificing in the Northshire Cleric and then using Circle of Healing to make the Grom healthier.
I personally would have gone with, I would have sacked the Northshire and then Light of the Naru Circle and build a big Light Warden as well.
Yeah, that's a good play as well.
I think that definitely would have been an option. But yeah, it's difficult when you have the Northshire and you're like, oh, I really want to draw lots of cards because that's really good. But also, I have like 9 cards in my hand. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're seeing the Alex here, and he does have his Grom Nightmare, I guess.
Yeah, but no way. I guess he still has lethal with just Grom, Nightmare, and his Fire War Axe if his opponent doesn't heal up.
Yeah. Exactly, but against Priest, you gotta think he's gonna heal.
Yeah, he can light an arrow himself.
Taskmaster.
Yeah, he can light an arrow himself and then basically be out of Grom range for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So in this situation,
what about Sylvanas Death here?
Because then the highest you can get yourself up to is 15 health, and you see Fire War Axe on the board. So.
Yeah,
that might be
think you just use the death here.
Yeah.
They might trade.
I think he might try and get it, give himself as much help. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. To be honest, I would have thrown in my Northshire Cleric, Lightenard myself, used Shadow or Death, and then just Holy Nova, just to get myself as high health as possible to reduce the chance. So he has 12 damage here. Okay.
We're just gonna see, yeah.
Now we're gonna see Sylvanas Shadow or Death, most likely.
Yeah, Sylvanas Shadow or Death on Sylvanas is pretty good.
Yeah, but at the same time, once again, if he does that, he doesn't have any mana left over to heal himself back up, so he's going to be at 14. Now that's still pretty risky. Has he used both Cruel Taskmasters though? I don't think so. I think he's only used one. Because we've seen 2 Cruel Taskmasters, but one was a Thought Stolen one on the side of Chakki, and the other one was used to, I believe, buff up the Acolyte of Pain earlier on. So
yeah, I think so.
So I don't think we've seen the second one here. But he's actually going to go ahead and just clear off the board and save the Sylvanas Shadow or Death. Heal himself out of range.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And the
Okay.
Sludge Belcher is a pretty good answer as well.
Yeah. So he's gotten to that armor. He's put him at 26 health, and he's in actually a pretty good position. He still has Shadow or Death left. He's still got bodies left. He's got Auchenized Circle, which is a good way to clear things off. And this Shield Slam could be an activator for Grom with Nightmare to push in for 15 damage. No, he's actually gonna use it to clear off the Light Warden. So still no activator for Gromish yet. And he's starting to run out of cards. This could end up being pretty problematic for Ecta.
Yeah, this is tough. Thorison coming down. Okay.
Huh. You need to clear off this Black Knight, though.
Yeah, you really do.
So how's he gonna do this? He could... Oh man, this is rough. He would have to Auchenized Circle here in order to clear it off the board. But if he Auchenized Circles, he'd want to heal his own face before he played Auchenai, because he's going to end up trading the Cruel Taskmaster in either way. And he wants to make sure that he heals out of range. Oh wow, this is a bold play.
Yeah. It's definitely bold. He has to be very aware of his health, but he thought about it. I think he's probably going to decide that, yeah, he's going to go with the Arcanine.
Okay. He's going to get the best of both worlds here. He's going to be able to play the Emperor, but this is still risky. We're an activator away from lethal here with Gromish.
Yep, so let's see.
Deathspite.
Alright, okay.
Man. So it's still going to be a couple turns before he's able to set that up. I mean, he could like go face with the Fire War Axe. He wants to not kill that Auchenai. So if he goes face with Shadow War Axe, develops the Deathspite, and then goes face, he could kill him over a couple turns, but it would mean he would have to not run into any taunts, no Sludge Belchers. Wow.
Yeah,
So he wants to get
he's
it out
gonna
of turn
go for
earlier. Yeah, this is smart.
I'll tell you, this is so crazy that this particular game has been going on so long that it's actually outlasted the Twitch delay.
Oh wow.
So the game we're currently casting 10 minutes ahead is now being broadcast on Twitch. That's how long these priest versus warrior matches can go.
They're going so long that we've gone back in time.
We've doubled back on ourselves. It's all time.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a tough play because he needs to be able to remove his own. No, I don't think there's any way out of this. He has to trade both creatures in. No, he can't win. He's dead.
Yeah. This is really difficult. But yeah, it looks like Ecta's going to be able to pull this one out. A war of attrition between Priest and Warrior.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so getting that Despite out now and pairing that with the Lotheb means that there is just no way that Chakki can get through all this.
Yeah, that's going to be the great play that's going to be
man.
That Lotheb combo.
And he's actually got a couple overkill as well, so really fantastically played by Ecta. And calculating that he needed to play the Despite and get it out there on the same turn that he played Lotheb. Just really smart stuff from him. And he actually drew the cool Taskmaster anyway, so regardless of what Chakki did that turn, even if Lotheb wasn't played, there was no way he could have gotten out of range, because he actually had 21 damage overall, so that's a big combo that you can't really account for. So
yeah, absolutely. That was a long game. Certainly one we had to. Oh, we all made it through together.
Where am I?
I'm pleased and proud of all of us who got through that. But it's now 2-2, so it's going to be the Druid of Ecta against the Priest of Chakki as my cat chases her tail in the background. I've never known a cat chase its tail before. But this one does. It's bizarre.
Cat thinks it's a dog.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Sorry about that. You guys didn't see that, but during that last game, I had to pick up my cat, so everyone was enjoying my cat. If you heard her, then congratulations, you win a prize.
So Chakki still has yet to find a win with this priest, and Ecta's last deck is, I believe, a druid. Since he won with the rogue and won with the warrior, so this last matchup is going to be druid versus priest. And the winner of this one does move on, and this is a really rough position for Chakki. The momentum is on Ecta's side. That's a long, grueling matchup and a tough matchup to lose if you're in Chakki's position, because that's just so much momentum. His sails have just been deflated, and it's just, oh man.
This is what we said, that priestess can be such a liability.
It really is. 1 weak deck, and it can cost you a series in Conquest. You have to make sure that you know and you're confident that your decks are good and they can take a victory against anything. And this matchup is a little bit more of a toss-up, but Druid can still pull out some big victories. A lot of times it's hard for Priests to play around combo, especially if an early Shade gets out and they don't have an answer to deal with it, like Alkanai Circle right on time. It's going to be really tough. And we've seen Chakki just not have the greatest of starts, and it's really hard to put yourself into position as a priest to make sure that you're playing around combo every turn after turn 9 if a druid can put out some early pressure.
Absolutely, and we see the Shade coming out early for the druid, which is good. Shrinkmeister for Chakki. We didn't see a second Shrinkmeister in that game, so I guess maybe he's only running one?
It's possible. We didn't get through his whole deck as well, so we got pretty deep into the deck, but the priest deck that he was running on his stream the other day had double Shrinkmeister, because he really wanted to pair it with like Shadow Madness and Cabal Shadow Priest. But I'm not sure, he may have cut it since then. I know Chakki, even though he likes to advertise himself as an aggro player and a very fast player, I know when he turns off his stream at night, he always just play tests for hours.
Goes to bed dreaming of Control Warrior.
Of Control Warrior and of Priest and how he can tech his Priest, so he can't fool us.
He's got a little picture of Anduin above his bed.
Yeah. Injured Blade Master and Circle of Healing, getting creatures out early to match against the pressure of Druids is one of the best things that you can do. The one thing that he has to think about though is, does he want to take the risk? Can he play an Injured Blade Master here and wait for his second Injured Blade Master to come out and get both Circle of Healing?
Oh, the Innervate's great here. Innervate Druid of the Claw, Innervate Sludge Belcher. Waiting on the Circle of Healing is so greedy, though.
Yeah, just a Wrath would take out this Injured Blade Master, which is never something you want to trade for. But
so lucky.
There's a potential that his greed might pay off. Because if... Okay, no.
He's going to coin swipe. I was going to say that it feels like a really inefficient use of swipe, but when you can stop that, those Blade Masters can get so out of hand if they get circled and then Power Word Shield. You know, we've all seen the 4-11 Blade Masters.
Yeah, it's not something that you can afford to happen. And swipe isn't really going to get that much more value against priests. It's not like they're going to have a lot of little creatures for you to clean up. So I like the risk by Chakki. It's something that you sort of have to do, especially when you're on the ropes like this. Ooh. He does throw the Pyromancer, but he doesn't have enough spells or enough mana to be able to take it out.
I was interested. My cat
just, Holy Nova.
My cat just pulled a coat hanger off the sofa on top of herself and hit herself in the head.
That's a cat for you.
Because cats are smart. But Holy Nova to take out that Belcher again, doesn't feel like the most efficient use of the removal, but again, it's good to get rid of that shade before it gets out of hand.
Yeah, this is definitely true. And now he's going to be able to most likely play Thaurissan on curve here and have it not be too threatened.
Yep, not too bad.
Which is pretty good. Other option here would be to play Auchenai Soul Priest and be able to cleanly take out this Druid of the Claw with the hit in the Auchenai Soul Priest. But when you can play Thaurissan like this on curve, it forces your opponent to deal with it, and also will allow him to make a little bit better combos later on. 5-mana Cabal Shadow Priest is a pretty big deal.
Yep. Let's talk about the Violet Teacher, which we're going to see here.
Yeah.
It's Teacher Druids, and very kind of classic archetype of Druid that we've maybe not seen as much. But Ecta trying to make a comeback here.
Yeah, this... I don't know if it's... This Violet Teacher could just be thrown in here for a little bit of extra value. I'm not sure if he's running like a token Druid.
Like Power of the Wild and things like that.
Power of the Wild, yeah. But it's definitely possible. We have not seen a very large majority of his deck, so...
Going to see Pyromancer Thoughtsteal to finish off this 4-1 and be able to trade with the Violet Teacher.
Those are really great draws, actually.
Yeah.
From Thoughtsteal.
I guess that'll do. It's not too bad. And he's just going to play the Soul Priest here. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's much a reason not to. He'd be floating mana if he just healed up his injured Blade Master, which I don't think he wants to do. This way it's vulnerable to Wrath, but putting more pressure on the board, usually against Druid, is the way to go. Because Druids, the thing that Druids struggle the most with is coming back on board when they're behind. Because Druids are really good at ramping up and putting up big creatures early, taking board control and then holding on to it. But if a Priest manages to get it, sometimes they'll just never give it up against a Druid, because every big threat that a Druid plays from now on, the Priest is just going to be able to deal with it because they have a stronger board.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to clear the Pyromancer and just go for the Harrison Jones here, which is pretty weak if there were a circle to combo with the Auchenai, but it also trades with the injured Blade Master, which you can't heal up to above 5, I guess.
Yeah, I would just trade here with the injured Blade Master. Oh, no, Keeper of the Grove and then pop the heal onto the face is much stronger play.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to develop even bigger of a board. Basically, he's in the same position that he was last turn, except he's got a bigger board now. And he's actually sitting on a next turn lethal. So
yeah, this is pretty crazy. This is really, really good for the Priest. Chakki's in a really good position here.
Chakki might manage to find a win with Priest. Oh my goodness. This is like backwards day.
He's got to win another 3 series though if he wants to win this tournament. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get this lucky again.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really kicking himself. The Sludge Belcher is going to stop lethal, but only for the time being. And he can actually steal the Cabal Shadow Priest. Or sorry,
Recombobulator is lethal, right? No, it's one off.
No, he'd have to find a way to take the Sludge Belcher before he recombobulated it.
Does Recombobulator only work in friendly minions?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. I haven't played with that card enough. I was thinking you could recombobulate the Sludge Belcher and then get something that isn't a taunt. My bad.
Nope, but he can Cabal Shadow Priest the Keeper of the Grove, which is one of the best targets that you can Cabal Shadow Priest. And I mean, still set him up for next turn lethal. He can even Recombobulator one of the Keeper of the Groves, because Keeper of the Grove is one of the weakest 4-cost minions. So he's bound to get something stronger, but there's really no need for that. That's kind of just for style points.
And that's it, right? That's game over.
Yeah. Well Played comes out, and the conceded Chakki
a
finds a win
perfect
with
win
Priest.
from 30 health.